it's not as bad as I thought it was. Well, let's just get that out of there. Then we'll take a break. And what I'm going to do, what I can do is come right back in there, get underneath that bolt right there, and prise that up. And get the top bolt, and then I might be able to turn it around and get the bottom. It's not as easy as now you have to get this loose before you can push the piston out. It's stuck in a cylinder. So we're going to have to, and the reason it won't turn all the way around is that hole on that side over there is a little smaller than this hole over here. So the next procedure, next step, is to get those rod bolts loose. I'm going to get that done. I bring something to your attention. Y'all see that gap that's in right there? In this engine right here, I was scraping this gasket away, and somewhere in the past, somebody has filled that little gap up with, it looks like lead, but it's probably solder. Well, it's solid. Whoever done it, they filled it completely full. Probably under the impression that it wasn't supposed to be a gap there. When I pushed this cylinder out, I wonder how big of, how big a glob of lead or solder is behind that. It's just one of the things you run into. The repairs and but all of these, there's no cracks around the head bolt threads, and they look good in there. This had a head on this engine, and I did take the head bolt studs out, but all looks good there. Actually, even the cylinder is not too bad. We'll see after we get that through the electrolysis. One other obstacle you are inclined to run into is a broken off bolt. This happens to not be, these are really good threads in this cover. It did have a cover on it. But the oiler, the crankcase vent check valve thing was broke off even. And so it's time to get it out. So I cut that notch in there. And where this is at, you can drive it on into the, I cut a notch in it and then just drove it right on into the crankcase. So, I mean, there's one half of it, and there's the other half. It's just standard repairs, you just get it done when you come up to something. And we do have some green paint right there. That's original color. Hey, crankshaft. We'll clean that up, see what we got. Oh, that looks good. We will check it to make sure it's not bent. We'll clean this up really, really good, check it out, and reuse it if necessary. Next step is get that rod and piston out. The wrist pin is it's pretty tight. So when you push that rod out, you want that piston out. You want the rod centered up in this hole here so it don't obstruct nothing. So what I'm going to do now, and you see where that piston is stuck about 1 inch down inside yonder, and that's rusted really, really a lot. That's rusted a lot in there. And I'll lube that down a little bit and let that set for a little bit, and then we'll push that piston out of there, get that cylinder out, that sleeve. Let's get on with it. The other half of that bearing, it's a nice one. The morning train sounding the horn in the distance. Oh, it's a wonderful sound. Bugs are chirping, whatever they do. It's time to get the piston and the cylinder sleeve out of this end. Let's, you know, dogs are barking in the neighborhood. Oh, the weather is just perfect for such a procedure as this. And we've got that there. It's a standard setup. Y'all seen it before. The piston pusher fixer mounted onto the block. What we're going to do, we're going to get that piston and rod out. Y'all see it hanging down in yonder? And what I'm going to do is we'll that eastbound coal train got an early start this morning here on the east coast of Arkansas. Let's get that rod out of there now, train or no train. Oh, I felt it give way then. When it gives way, oh, you'll feel it. Now this is a little 4-ton hydraulic, one of them old cheapos, but that hydraulic pressure, if it's going to give, it'll give with hydraulic pressure. And I've run out of ram, so I'll release it. Put a spacer on the end of the ram up there. And do her again. And this is a 4-ton hydraulic port pair assembly. And if you do not own one and in the market of purchasing one, I would suggest you get the 10-ton model. It's a little more money, but it's I mean, you can get anything out with that 10-tonner. I added about 2 inches of spacer in there to give us a little more. You've seen the piston fall out. Let's get her out of there. Spacer, you want to put something on top of the piston so you don't push the top of the piston out. Y'all see that? Oh, that's a fine one right there. We'll get that in the electrolysis tank. Let's get that cylinder sleeve out of there now.